I will just pause.
I hope, and I hope and I wish that today's meeting will clarify a lot of our misconceptions, doubts, and questions that we might have, and be enable us to be more inclusive in all the activity that we do within Rotary and outside Rotary on a day-to-day basis. To begin with, I request the Director of DEI for Rotary International District 3192, Rotarian Abbas Saxena, to welcome the gathering and set the context for today's program.
Thank you, Rotarian Leo. Dear DG Rotarian Srinivas Murthy, Rotarian Tina Ratra, Director, District DEI Committee RID 3131. District officials, club presidents, DEI chairs of clubs, and fellow Rotarians from RID 3191, 3192, 3131, that is Pune, and 3232, that is Chennai. Our experts, Mr. Ayaan Rao or Mr. Suresh Ramdas, and the guest. A very good evening to you all. I would like to welcome you for this very special session, Behind the Rainbow, Demystifying LGBTQI plus and other labels. Before we begin the webinar, I would like to give you a little background on why we thought this session was needed. Most of us do not understand LGBTQIA plus community. We grapple with the questions such as, what is this acronym LGBTQIA plus? Is it a community, who they are, what their challenges are, how we can integrate them among us, etc., etc., etc. There are a lot of misconceptions about the community, but most importantly, we are confused and do not know how to talk to or behave towards them. This situation creates a fear in us. None of us would want to consciously hurt or misbehave with anyone. Many of us are homophobic, and in our ignorance, we unintentionally hurt, disrespect, and discriminate the individuals of the community. In fact, we do not even know how many of our friends, family members, colleagues are from the community who are too scared to come out to be their normal self and express their sexuality and gender identity. DI teams of all the Rotary district present today are committed to inform and sensitize Rotarian about the diverse set of individuals so that we can include them in our clubs and projects and provide them the equitable opportunity to grow. Keeping this in mind, we have organized today's webinar. The webinar has two sessions. The first session is ABC of LGBTQIA+. As the name suggests, today's speaker, Mr. Ayaan Rao, will give us the foundation knowledge about the community, the challenges faced by them, and how to interact with the community members. The second session is a fireside chat with Mr. Suresh Ramdas on the topic of being an ally, the role Rotary can play. I would like to highlight that there would be a Q&A at the end of each session. So please put your questions in the chat box and we'll take them up one by one after each session. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to you to this webinar, and I hand it over to Leo for the next agenda item.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
Leo.
much, Rotarian, for that warm welcome and also setting the pretext for today's program. Going forward, our dashing DG Rotarian V. Srinivas Murthy is with us. I would like to play a small video to share an introduction about him to all our fellow Rotarians from the other districts as well.
Leo,
Yes.
if you can go with few words, that's fine.
Yeah. DG sir is
Not
as
prepared,
humble
I
as
think, for that.
always.
There are
Okay.
members from other districts
Other
also.
districts, I
So
think
DG, that would be
it would
fine.
be helpful.
Okay, carry on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Rotarian V. Srinivas Murthy was born on 18th March 1958 to late Sri Venkatswamy and late Srimati Sampangiyamma in the city of Bengaluru. Schooled in RBNMS and graduated from St. Joseph's College, Bengaluru, and did his Masters in History at the Bangalore University. He was an enthusiast in college days and was a prolific cricketer. At the age of 25, he became the managing director of a paper manufacturing mill. He set up a few other enterprises like construction, allied products, and in the genre of electronic industry. He is Chief Officer of the Amrut Associates, which involves the power sector in transmission, distribution, and generation of power consultation. Beginning his Rotary journey in the year 2000, Rotarian Srinivas Murthy donned the mantle of President of Rotary Bangalore Pena in the year 2011 and 12. Learning through observation, analyzing and applying the mind and heart in all he does enabled him to excel as the president. He was recognized as an outstanding president and the club under his leadership was recognized as the best club during the Rotary year. It was during his presidency that the historical change of the word Rotary before the Rotary wheel, which was proposed in the Council of Legislation, was accepted by the Rotary International, thereby enhancing global identity and public recognition. He has been actively involved in Rotary in various capacities in the district. He has served as the Director, Public Relations, Assistant Governor. As the district membership chair in the year 2015-16, he was instrumental in chartering 52 new clubs and raised the membership to 5,800, thereby creating a new world record, and he was recognized as the champion of champions. He served as the District Secretary General in the year 2020 to 21 with PDG Rotarian Nagendra Prasad and was awarded the recognitions of Best Secretary and as Best Rotarian of the Year for his overall performance. He was instrumental in facilitating the governor to raise the TRF collections to 3 crores during the year. He was also instrumental in providing e-learning kits for high school students in government schools at Kolar and Chikbalapur district, which overall led to good results in academics. Through Global Grant, he also facilitated a cath lab in Adi Chunchandgiri Institute of Medical Science, which benefit around 500 villages in and around the hospital for the economically backward and needy patients. He is actively involved in several renowned organizations like FKCCI, YMCA, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Kannada Sahitya Parishad, Epilepsy Association of India, and is currently the Managing Committee member of Bangalore Management Association. Married to Rotarian Vijaya Srinivas, she is a practicing medical counselor who played an integral role in counseling about 100 patients every day during the pandemic and is passionate of the vision of healing the minds of individuals. She also worked as a trainer, lecturer, principal, PRO in the academic and medical field. The couple are blessed with 3 children, son Prajwal Srinivas, who has his own private equity firm based out of Germany and is married to Sabine and blessed with a daughter Maya. Daughter Preeti Srinivas working in Intel at Portland, USA. His younger daughter Pooja Rajashri Srinivas is a practicing designer cum architect. He is a major donor and his family members are Paul Harris Fellows. A compassionate Rotarian and a people-friendly leader. His life is a reflection of ethical values instilled in him right from his early childhood years. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting to you a man of ethos, prowess, and diligence, District Governor, Rotarian V. Srinivas Murthy for the year 2023-24.
So I invite our beloved DG Rotarian V. Srinivas Murthy to say a few words regarding the program and give his thoughts on the same.
Yeah. Thank you, Leo. Thank you very much, Abbas Saxena, Director DEI, for a wonderful program you have been doing all through. And this evening, you organized this webinar, very interesting webinar, which is need of the hour in our society. As you all know, Rotarians, that DEI, diversity and equity and inclusion, is in Rotary DNA. Rotarians do not discriminate in membership and the service project we take up. We do not leave anyone behind and include each member in the club proceeding and the project. Our clubs have members from diverse backgrounds and we serve all community without any bias and prejudice. Each Rotarian has an equal opportunity to be a leader of the club or district or even the global organization. That's what Rotary is meant. 365 days, the leaders change, but leadership remains. This is one of the magic of Rotary. DEI team of RID 3192 is striving to make each Rotarian understand about diverse community, which will enable clubs to take an affirmative action of becoming a truly inclusive organization and create a conducive environment where each Rotarian can bring their whole and true self to the club. I'm very passionate about supporting LGBTQIA+. We have taken a project of constructing gender-neutral comfort station. We believe this will take care of the basic need of the individual who find it difficult to use other toilets. So in this direction, our district is very, very passionately, positively moving towards, creating a comfort station for this sector. So we are interacting with government to support this system, and we are almost there. And shortly, you will all come to know there will be a big plan for constructing a comfort station in public places. With these few words, I just wish this webinar a great success. I thank each and every participant for being with us to understand this subject more meaningfully. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, DG, for that wonderful words of how diversity, equity, and inclusion is in Rotary DNA. That was really insightful. Thank you again for giving us opportunity to host the program under your leadership as well.
It's my pleasure. I'll just back to you people within few minutes. I have another program. Kindly pardon me.
Surely,
I'll go and come back to you.
surely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would also like to recognize the presence of Rotarian Varalakshmi, who is the District DEI Director for Rotary International District 3191. Welcome, Rotarian Varalakshmi. Going forward, let's move on to the first session, which we are all eagerly waiting for. I request Rotarian Bindu to introduce our speaker, Mr. Ayaan Rao, who will be the first speaker for the webinar.
Good evening. I'm Rotarian Bindu Cherian from Rotary Bangalore Brigades. I think my network is slightly slow. It says it is weak. So I think there is some confusion with my screen.
Bindu, I think
But
you
I
can
would-
switch off the video so that we can hear you well.
Okay,
Yep. Thank you.
fine. Can you hear me now?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, all right. So I would like to welcome our first speaker. Our first session is the ABC of LGBTQIA. And our first speaker is Mr. Ayaan Rao. Ayaan works with Interweave Consulting, which is a company that helps organizations in their transformation into inclusive workspaces. So they have been making an effort to work with companies to understand and involve, accept differences in the workplace, and inclusion of diversity in the workplace. So Ayaan is an active member of this effort. He also he has a wider and deeper network within the Pride community, which has helped him build an enhanced appreciation for the real life challenges of the LGBTQIA community. So he brings that experience into the forefront at his workplace, and he partners for impactful solutions to be deployed by other organizations in this effort. At Interweave, he's an associate consultant. He has worked in the DEI arena to evaluate and improve on organizations, the current practices and processes of organizations are evolving now. He is also a multi-skilled person. He is into photography. He has a bachelor's degree from SEAM Edu, which is a pro-expressionism school where they train students to become creative exponents in the more glamorous and challenging environments of the media and entertainment industry. So he is a photographer, a very avid photographer. I would request, first let me welcome you, Ayaan Rao, to this webinar. I will now hand over the mic to you to introduce yourself and your activities and to help us understand this theme, the community, and the challenges that we face. Welcome, Ayaan.
Thank you so much, Bindu, for that introduction. And thank you all for being here today on this webinar. And I hope, it is an enriching one and it gets you started on, learning about the community, at least what the community is, what we stand for, the unique challenges. So my pronouns are he, him. And I've been with Interweave for quite some time, and I have been working on more projects very closely related to LGBTQ. So I'm going to take everyone onto just the basics of LGBTQ, and we're gonna make it as simple as possible. And if any questions, I will be happy to answer them at the end. Please make a note of it, and we will get started on that. So let me just share my screen, and if my audio is not clear, if the video is not clear, please do let me know. Okay. Is my screen visible to everyone?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's get started. Introduction to LGBTQIA+.
Mr. Ryan, I think the presentation view is different for what we are seeing. We're seeing your presentation view, not the actual presentation screen.
Sorry, my bad. Just a minute. Yeah, I think this should be better.
Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
Okay, sure. So let's just dive right into it. So what does this is the agenda for the first half of the webinar. What does LGBTQI stand for? Understanding the community, the unique challenges, and what is allyship that I'm sure a lot of you would have heard of. Excuse me, pardon me for coughing. I'm currently just recovering, so please don't mind. So I'm going to start with a story. So they're two friends, giraffe and elephant, and they're really good friends. They've known each other for years together, and giraffe has just built a new house, and giraffe would like to welcome elephant to the new house, and giraffe extends his warm greetings and says, please, I welcome you over to my house, and I want to show you how beautifully I've constructed it. And elephant is thrilled about it, and elephant says, okay, I will be there. So elephant goes and picks up a housewarming present for giraffe, and finally the day arrives, and elephant is at the giraffe's door, and elephant first notices that the door is quite thin, tall, and narrow. So elephant figures, saying, how am I going to fit through this? But says, okay, let's first greet giraffe, and says, we'll figure it out. So giraffe says, come on in, I want you to see the house. And then as elephant is squeezing through the door, a few chips of wood fly off, and giraffe sees this and says, it's okay, don't worry about it. So elephant comes inside and looks at the house and is in amazement of it and says, you've done such a beautiful job. And then giraffe acknowledges and says, why don't you have a seat? So as they're walking towards the living room, elephant notices a second obstacle and sees that the chairs are far too tall and again very narrow. So elephant wonders, okay, how am I going to place myself on it, right? So giraffe says, please have a seat, take a seat, feel welcome. So elephant struggles and climbs onto the chair, but is very uncomfortable and it's too tall for elephant. And then still manages, is very uncomfortable, but says, it's okay, giraffe's house, I'll be accommodative of it. And then giraffe says, why don't we just, they're having a chat, lovely greeting as such. And then elephant says, it's such a lovely home, you've put so much of effort into it. And giraffe says, come, I'll show you around. So they go around, they see the living area, and then giraffe says, I've made a wonderful terrace that I know you would love. And then elephant says, sure, I would love to see it, let's go up there. Again, the third obstacle that elephant notices is the stairs are again too narrow and too tall. Giraffe says, come on, hurry up. And then elephant walks towards the stairs. And as elephant climbs up the first, second, third step, elephant realizes that it's so squished. And on the fourth step, the entire staircase collapses. Seeing this, giraffe gets so mad and starts, making elephant feel so humiliated, saying, it's because of you that my house is destroyed. Ever since you've entered the house, ever since you came in, it's just been such a bad experience. And elephant felt so humiliated. And feeling this, elephant just said, I'm so sorry, and walked away. So now when we are analyzing the story, first question is, did elephant even feel welcome? He didn't. Elephant didn't even feel welcome in any which way whatsoever, because the moment elephant arrived, giraffe had some expression or some comment to say, saying, okay, this happened, but it's okay, we'll figure it out. Did elephant's arrival create problems? Yes. First the door, then the living chair, and then the staircase altogether. Who or what, according to giraffe, was the problem? Giraffe thought it was the elephant's fault and kept blaming the elephant, saying, it's because of you, my house is destroyed, and you're destroying everything that you go about. Who or what, according to the elephant, was the problem? Elephant felt it was, the elephant himself. So elephant said, it was my fault, I was the problem there. But whose house is it? It is the giraffe's house to begin with. And whose job is it to fix? It is the giraffe's at the end of the day. So it's the same scenario even in our real life. If you look at it, when we invite people over into our space or into our homes, we have the responsibility to make them feel welcome. So with that same context, it applies at our personal level, our professional level, and especially when it comes to the community as well. So as we deep dive, what does LGBTQ plus stand for? Just anyone, if they know, what does LGBTQ plus stand for? If you can unmute and just tell me the abbreviations, the acronyms. Anyone? If you can just quickly unmute and tell me even if you know a few of them.
Lesbian,
Okay.
gay,
Okay.
bisexual,
Okay.
transgender, queer.
Okay, bang on. So that is the short acronym for the community itself, but there is a plus as well. So lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender. So Q is either queer or questioning. And then we have intersex and asexual as well. So queer or questioning rather is queer is someone who is attracted towards both gender or any gender for that matter, or any identity. Whereas questioning is a person who is still figuring out their identity, their expression of gender, how they want to express. So those people come into the category of questioning, and that is why we have it as either queer or questioning. Then we have intersex. So intersex are those people who are born biologically with both reproductive organs, and at birth, they are categorized into intersex. So either as they grow up, the parents decide how they want to raise the child and take that decision for the child, or they are allowed to let the child decide and make that decision for themselves. And then we have asexual gender, someone who is not attracted to any gender expression or gender identity as such. Now, this is the flag that was first initially created by Gilbert Baker. So each and every color of the flag has a meaning to it, and that depicts the pride that we have today for the community. First being the hot pink that was first created, that stood for sex, red is for life, orange for healing, yellow is for sunlight and sunshine, green is for nature, turquoise is for magic, art, creativity, indigo is for serenity, and violet is for the undying spirit. Now, as we keep going, the flags have been progressing. It's been changing over the years. And currently, this is the latest flag. As you see, the colors on the right are retained, except for the hot pink that was there, that was removed. And now we have the black brown, which stands for people from the colored races. And we also have the pink, blue, and white that you see, that is specifically for trans people. And the yellow with the round circle is for intersex people. So this is building a more inclusive flag for the people of the community altogether. Now we have a couple of policies that have been put into place by the government and the legislator by itself. First, starting with, the 2019, first going back to the 2018 when the 377 was revoked. And ever since then, the community has just grown tenfold. And that is how we are seeing more and more numbers of the community coming out, and people, in fact, showing and being seen even across professional platforms as well. Then we have the 2019 where the Transgender Act came out that gave protections and fundamental rights towards trans people, especially. That was very, very important for the community. And we also have something called as the Equal Opportunity Policy, where it allows people from especially the trans community to have the same equal opportunity as any other heterosexual person to get the kind of opportunities on the professional front and the educational front as well. Now, first things first, differentiating between sex and gender. Now, this is something that a lot of people have, I think, got the concept confused. So if I were to ask, any one of you to, give me a definition of sex and gender, or to begin with, are they first of all different or they're not? Anyone? Just a simple yes or no. Do you think it's different or do you think it's the same?
It's different.
Okay, it's different. There are no right or wrong answers. So please feel free to, just tell me what you think, what your opinions are, your perspectives. I would definitely love to know that. Okay, so a lot of you may be saying, yes, it is the same, whereas some of you may be saying, no, it is different. But I will deep dive into this so it's a better understanding, because it is different. Sex and gender are not the same. Sex is something which is biologically assigned at birth based on your reproductive organs, your hormones, your chromosomes. Whereas gender is more to do with how a person identifies, expresses, and, projects themselves in society. So that is the main difference between sex and gender. Now, this, please don't get confused by this. This is a very simple chart. I will explain it to you first as we go. So as you see, the first one, which is the biological sex, which everybody knows, that is what you're born and assigned with at birth. So first you have male on one end and you have female. Then you have something known as intersex, which I had explained in the terminologies as well in the acronym. Intersex people who are born with both reproductive organs at birth. Then we have gender identity, how our social construct. So first we have man, then we have woman on one end, and then we have the third gender or the trans community. Whereas people who may have been born or, assigned male at birth, but do not identify as a man. They are born or assigned male at birth, but they identify as a woman. So they come under trans community or third gender. Then we have gender expression. Gender expression is how someone, wishes to dress, wishes to portray themselves in the societal structure. So on one end, we have masculine, and on the other end, we have feminine. But in the middle, we have something known as androgynous. Androgynous is a way of saying that someone who may be born or assigned male at birth identifies as a man, but expresses a little more towards the feminine side. So this spectrum will vary. There is no fixed line in, between saying, okay, this will be masculine and androgynous in between, or this will be feminine and androgynous. But this spectrum is vast, and each and every point, even the minute point of it, is also a spectrum, and people fall under it. So androgynous are those people who like to express themselves either more masculine if they're feminine, and vice versa when it comes to either, expressing themselves more feminine while they're masculine. And then we have sexual orientation. Who are they attracted to? So assigned male at birth, gender identity or identifies as a man, expresses masculine, and is attracted to women. So this is your binary or heterosexual. Any questions? Okay, I thought I heard someone. So please stop me if you have any questions. Or if
Request all the participants to mute your mic while the speaker is speaking. If you have any questions, you can drop in the chat box.
yes, please drop it in the chat box, or we'll wait till the end, and then definitely I will take up all the questions that you have. So like I was saying, this left segment or this left end of the spectrum is your binary male or man in the societal form, or also known as heterosexual man. Whereas on the right end of the spectrum, you have your heterosexual woman. And in between, this is just multiple intersectionalities of a possibility that can occur, and it varies from each and every person. Believe me when I say this, because, for example, someone who is say assigned female at birth, but identifies as a third gender or identifies as a man, but expresses or dresses a little even, towards the feminine side, but as well as the masculine side, but more towards the masculine side. And sexual orientation is asexual. So you have multiple intersectionalities within this chart. So it is endless. It is, something that is not fixed. No, single person can have the same thing as anyone else, no matter how, even if they're twins for that matter. So it is endless. I know this may seem confusing to grasp, but I will definitely, run you through it again if you have any confusions or if you have any questions for sure. But to sum it up, or the extreme end is your extreme left end is your heterosexual male or man, whereas the right end is heterosexual woman. And in between these two spectrums is where the entire community lies, to sum it up. Okay, moving forward.
Hi,
Sorry?
Hi, Suresh. Sure, sorry.
Yes.
I just want to quickly jump in here. Sorry, just to kind of give everybody a little more information. So you do have the heterosexual men, or you have the heterosexual women, but you also have homosexual men, homosexual women as well. right? So just wanted to kind of call that out and put it out there. Attracted to same sex and attracted to the opposite sex. Attracted to the opposite sex are heterosexuals, attracted to the same sex are, homosexuals, while in between you have bisexuals. Then there's a lot more in terms of sexuality as well, right? So just wanted to put it out there and go ahead with that. Thanks, Aya. Sorry.
No,
Thank
thank you
you,
so much.
Suresh. Suresh is our second speaker of the second session. Thank you, Suresh.
Thank you so much for jumping in there. Okay, so now moving forward, what is transgender identity, right? So a lot of people would have heard, drag kings, drag queens, cross dressers, third gender, intersex person, as I mentioned, transsexuals. So these are all just terms, but the main, or rather, it is just under the umbrella of transgender community. So I'll tell you the differences that we see. So transsexuals, which you see here, are male to female and female to male. So there's a difference between transgender people and transsexual people. So transgender people are those people who, for example, assigned female at birth, but does not identify as a female, identifies as a male, and expresses themselves by dressing up or having a haircut that looks more masculine. So that is someone who is a transgender person. But transsexual people are those people who have undergone medical interventions. So when I say medical interventions, for trans, or rather the transgender community, some people may not feel completely comfortable with themselves by just expressing themselves or identifying themselves or projecting themselves in a certain way by the societal norm, but they need surgical intervention. So when I say male to female transsexual, so a person who's assigned male at birth undergoes surgeries, undergoes medical procedures, and to actually either completely or even by their choice how comfortable they are in the transition. So the period of moving, or other I would say, from their journey of being assigned female at birth to going to how they identify as a male is what is called as transitioning. So when someone who's assigned female at birth undergoes medical interventions, when I say medical interventions, surgeries, medical procedures like hormone injections, so that is when they are known as transsexuals. But transgender people are mostly in the category of saying they have not undergone any medical interventions or under any medical surgeries as such, right? And as I mentioned in the first, intersex persons are those people who are born at birth with both reproductive organs. Now coming to drag kings and drag queens, these are people who even may be in the heterosexual or maybe in the typical binary or fall closely towards the binary spectrum, but on an occasion, or sometimes they do feel like dressing up, where say a heterosexual man who likes to dress up, maybe in a skirt or in a sari, just for an occasion, or someone who prefers to just probably have long hair or clean shaven face, so, or just dressing up for a certain occasion, they come under the category of drag kings and drag queens. Or even cross dressers are almost the similar. Whereas when then we a transvestite is something that is not used anymore into the into addressing people from the trans community because it is considered offensive. And then we have agendered people. So agendered people can be people who are from not just a specific gender as such, but are more fluid. And we also have gender fluid people as well, that I'm sure a lot of people would have heard, someone who doesn't have a single gender or similar to a gender as well. Okay, I know I've confused a lot of people right now, but feel free to have your questions, because this is something that is going to be a lot to take in as well. But the more questions you have, it will be easier to clarify any doubts and any confusions that you may have, or preconceived confusions that you may have. So one very important question that a lot of people ask, or a lot of people just put it as a statement saying this is a choice, but is it actually a choice? How many of you think it is a choice? Anyone who thinks it's a choice? It is definitely not a choice because people are born this way. It is genetically encoded within us. And it is not something that someone, just wakes up one day and says, I'm feeling, attracted to this person. So I'm just going to, take a look, or I'm going to try and, probably just see how it feels. But no, it is something that is so genetically encoded that people feel it either gradually over the years, or sometimes even just feel it, after years of probably being with a heterosexual partner, but don't feel comfortable anymore. But it is something that has been encoded genetically by birth, or as when they were born and they came into this world. So it is definitely not a choice. So if you hear anyone saying, it's a choice, people just choose to be like that, believe me, it is not a choice. These are the terms that a lot of people from the community use, and especially towards the initial phases of when they're identifying themselves amongst their close friends, family, or peers. So in the closet, so someone who has not yet come out to anyone, or even when I say someone who is not even spoken about their identity with even their own family, and they're still trying to figure out whether they identify a certain way or they identify the opposite. So those people are known as being in the closet or closeted. Whereas coming out is someone who is disclosing or opening up to another person about their expression or their orientation or their identity. And coming out is something that happens not just once, but it happens every time when they speak to someone, or when they have, or when they tell someone that, hey, this is my sexual orientation, when the person doesn't know about it. So coming out is a continuous process, and it is not just a one-step process. Whereas in the closet is someone who is still figuring out their own identity and is still not told anyone. It may be even the family, friends, or even peers. Okay. These are some of the known Indian personalities that you may have seen or may have come across, and they are from the community themselves. Lakshmi Narayan Tripathi, Dyuti Chand, Parvez Sharma, and even Vikram Seth. They are all from the community, and they are activists. They are openly, supporters and allies towards the community, and being more of the voice for the community. I'm sure, at least, you would have seen one person at least out of these four. Okay, moving forward. Reasons for not revealing, their identity. These are actual statements that people have made as to why they don't, or they choose not to come out. So I'll give you a minute to read it. And this is right from, people from the industries, from their professional workplaces, and this is ground reality. Do let me know once you're done, and then I will move forward. So there is a lot of homophobia even today, despite, having such a large community in 2023 today. And in fact, we're going to have our Pride, Namma Pride in Bengaluru this weekend. And in fact, tomorrow, as to speak, we have the Pride Walk happening tomorrow. So, but there is still a lot of homophobia, transphobia prevalent today, even in a city like Bangalore. There are a lot of instances right from school, from colleges, from workplaces, even in the first nuclear circle itself, in family and households, among friend circles. But because it is such an invisible community, because people have chosen not to come out because of various reasons, as to fear of, rejection, of being humiliated, of not being accepted, we do not know so many of the experiences, but it is prevalent and it is happening. Whereas there are some reasons why people have revealed their identity as well. And this is more to do with, their confidence, saying, I do not have nothing to hide. I'm not doing anything wrong. And nobody else is living or standing in my shoes. So why should I hide my identity? Why should I hide the person who I am or be ashamed for who I am? Because nobody else is ashamed of who they are. Nobody else is, making a heterosexual man or woman feeling humiliated or, making comments about their identity, their expression. So why should a person from the community have it that way as well? So these are some of, again, taken from a lot of, corporates and a lot of working professionals as well. Do let me know once you're done and we'll move forward.
You can move ahead, Ayaan.
Okay, sure. So now the unique challenges that the community faces. I'm sure some of them are, even there for, heterosexual or binary people as well. But this is on a far, greater and a more grievous level for people of the community, lower levels of acceptance and understanding. There are a lot of risks of not finding employment because of discrimination, because of hate speech, and especially because of microaggressions and even sexual harassment at workplaces, because majority of organizations do not have sexual harassment policies for people of the community. And when I say people of the community, even more so towards the trans community, because people from the community, be it from LGB, people are still either hiding their orientation and their identity because of these lack of policies, but at the same time it is more prevalent towards the trans community because their identity and their expression shows. And that is another reason why there are so many challenges in today's workforce, that is still causing a lot of people to not come out. Most policies don't even cater to employees in of LGBTQ, and that is one of the reasons why a lot of people either choose to work for themselves or choose to find a comforting or a more private probably a business or something that caters to their needs, or doing an internship where they don't have to be on and off field, or they have to be questioned about their identity or orientation. Housing and other challenges. Housing, when I say, a lot of people, especially from the trans community, are not even given houses on rent just because of how they identify. And personally speaking, I'm a trans man myself, so I have faced a lot of discrimination as I was growing up, not just from my own peers, but even from family itself. So it is not something that is just something that I'm saying after doing some research. I have personally deep dived into all these challenges. So when I say lack of open gay role models as well, there are not a lot of people who are out there who can put a voice for the community. So that is another reason why it is so hard for us to get our challenges, our problems heard. And now when I come to, sorry, and this is another thing I'm very proud and happy about that Godrej is actually doing. They have actually, employed a lot of trans people, and they are helping them by providing them employment, housing, and even providing them insurances. So Godrej has been in this work for quite some time, at least in the recent years, and they are moving forward by giving a lot of trans people the opportunities for employment and career growth. So now moving forward, these are unique challenges for the trans community. Opportunities for employment are a lot more minimal. To be very honest, I myself struggled to find employment for quite some time. It took me quite a lot of time for me, and mine is not because of any harassment or any discrimination as such. Mine was due to my changing of administrative records, which is another mention here, because our government does not have set procedures, set processes, and a lot of government officials are not aware as to how to help a trans person change their name, gender, it's as they please and as they want it to be on government records, educational records, Nobody has a clear idea. No department knows, from which department to which department it has to go to. And because of that, it takes such a long time, and sometimes it doesn't even come through. For me personally, it took me 3.5, 4 years just to get all my main documents done. So it is a struggle today because our government itself is lacking that infrastructure. It's lacking that, administrative procedure itself to begin with. And then we have, just in the employee field, sorry, in the industrial or professional work front, have employment forms right from your hiring, your recruitment. For trans people especially, who have not gotten their administrative records changed and who do not want to disclose their dead name. So coming back to that, dead name is something that a person who is assigned at birth is given by their guardian or parents, but they do not identify with that name anymore, and that is why it's called a dead name. Whereas they prefer to be identified and referred to by their chosen name, something that they personally reflect towards and identify towards, and that is why it's called their chosen name. So because there are so many, forms that in employment, once someone is joining an organization needs to fill, it is not in place by itself. So if one does not have employment, other things also don't follow. They don't have, enough income to maintain their lifestyle, or, to even bare minimum survival at times. You don't have medical insurance coverages. Trans people especially do not have, insurances that cover the surgeries costs, because all the surgeries come under cosmetic surgeries, and they are exorbitant. Believe me when I say it, they are exorbitant. I was lucky enough to have a privileged family to guide me and to be there with me and support me through it. But a lot of trans people have been disowned by their own families because they've chosen to walk their journey. So this is the ground reality of the trans community today. And a lot of NGOs today, like Swabhava, like Pride Circle, are hosting job fairs, are providing housing and shelter. So there are a lot of, specially focused NGOs that are targeting toward helping and providing support in all the ways possible, specifically to the trans community. So progressive practices that, people not just on the work front, but even on the personal front can use to help people from the community feel more welcome. Participation in LGBTQ job fairs, organizing hiring drives, providing them opportunities. That is something by, just say someone in, a friend circle or a family circle says, I'm having difficulty in just finding employment because of my identity. Just by reaching out or sharing across their CVs with a couple of people goes a long way. You never know. It may not happen, it may not work for them, but at least doing that part itself is a big progressive practice. Then you have listening to circles that assures anonymity by ensuring that you are respecting their privacy, their confidentiality itself brings and shows that you are willing to support and make people from the community feel more welcome. Same-sex partner insurance, that is something that the government really has to work on, because as insurance policies need to be mended, because a lot of organizations, a lot of private companies, a lot of startups as well do not have insurances in place, because insurance companies do not provide or have not been even asked for that matter whether if there is something that can be done. So these are something that even governments can do. A robust allyship program, which we'll go into as we walk in further when it comes to allyship. How can you be an ally to the community, right? And then sex reassignment surgery. So now just touch basing on this. As I mentioned, transsexuals, right? So SRS, or sex reassignment surgery, is the transitioning procedure or process for any transsexual person to start their transitioning journey. So when I say sex reassignment surgery, it's not just one surgery that happens and a person is of the opposite sex of or how they identify. But sex reassignment surgery is in multiple stages. So if a person who's, say, transitioning from female to male, so when I say that, for my personal example, for that matter, I was assigned female at birth, but I never aligned to that gender that I was assigned at birth. I identified as a man. I expressed myself as a man. So now for me to feel more confident or to feel more in my body biologically, I underwent medical interventions. So starting with first from female to male, the procedures are first hormone replacement therapy or HRT. So that is the first step. So first step being you have, your hormone injections or, gel patches or tablets that basically provide a person. I request everyone to please be on mute. Unless you have any question, then please feel free. Okay. So yeah, so you have hormone replacement therapy in the form of, either injections or gel patches or even tablets, which basically provides the hormone that the body doesn't naturally produce for a female, which is testosterone. So that is your first step of the process of the medical intervention. Whereas the second step are the surgeries and more, irreversible interventions as such. So when I say irreversible, it is because hormone replacement therapy is still reversible to a certain extent. If a person stops taking hormones, their body biologically can go back to their assigned gender at birth. But when you go forward after your hormone replacement therapy and you undergo surgical interventions, those are more irreversible surgeries, and those require a lot more of a psychologist or a psychiatric a consultation, that you need an approval from a psychologist saying this person is of sound mind and is willing to make it out of pure conscious thought. So that is where medically it is more of sex reassignment surgery, or that is when medical interventions are more to do with how a person feels completely more towards how they identify. And these surgeries are not done all at once, because it is very complicated, very painful. It requires the body to heal, to recover, and it is a long process, and not everyone may choose to undergo everything altogether. Some people may even just stop with hormones. Some people may even stop with just a surgery or two. But some people go all out and get all the surgeries done to feel more aligned, to feel and identify as a gender that they express and identify as. So that is a little bit about sex reassignment surgery procedures. Now, moving forward, embracing the LGBTQ inclusion journey. Like I said, it is a very large invisible population, because a lot of people have not chosen to come out because of fear of rejection, fear of discrimination, humiliation, harassment. I mean, those are the words that honestly are still very lightly to put, because our community is still not widely accepted by anyone and everyone today. People may say that they're accepting and they're open-minded, but until and unless it comes into your personal circle, people don't know how to respond to it. People don't know how to address it, right? So don't let the energy, as well as the commitment flake. Because when you decide that you are willing to accept someone for who they are and to just be, accepting of it and in support of it, do not fall back on it. So now moving forward, because I know we're on a crunch of time, what does ally mean? I mean, we have allyship in other things as well, but being an ally when it comes to a part of the community is to be there and to support and be the voice for the people of the community in terms of their challenges, to be just a voice to hear them out when they're coming out to you, or when they're, asking to just be a listener. Even then, just by listening to them, you are an ally. So we have awareness, motivation, and intervene. So when you start to be aware of what exactly, or who the people of the community are, what are the challenges, like we just discussed in the webinar, you are already putting yourself out there, and you are known as a new ally, which I will come to in the next slide. You are known as a new ally because you are already making that conscious thought of being here in the webinar, wanting to know a lot more about the community, and also doing your part by just listening about the community. And motivation, by keeping your motivation up and saying, yes, this is how I am going to help the people of the community, be a voice for the community, and not let that motivation and that fire die down. and intervene. That is one thing that is very important, because when we see someone in everyday life, irrespective whether they're part of the community or not, or if they're part of the community or not, intervention is something that really goes a long way. When you see something wrong happening, when you see something wrong being said to someone, intervention can really help. And especially when it is such an invisible population, you never know how you're helping people from the community as well. For all you know, you may have helped them, but you don't know about it, right? So as I said, allies, we are all on a journey. New ally, everyday ally, and super ally. These are the three categories. And today, by being a part, I am sure some of you are even probably everyday allies or even super allies, but most, or whoever is here for the first time, you're a new ally as of today after this webinar. So what to do if someone comes out to you, right? This is something that I'm sure is very, very important. So first and foremost, do not dismiss them by saying, oh, I already knew about it, or, I already guessed it. That itself invalidates their whole process of coming out to you and being able to confide in you and trust in you, right? And moreover, please recognize that it takes a lot of courage for someone to have that faith and trust to confide and say that I'm part of the community, or this is how I identify, this is my orientation, and I've not come out to anyone, or I have, but I'm still not sure about it. So when you recognize that it first takes a lot for someone to come out, please do not invalidate them, or do not, say that, I already knew, oh, I thought I heard someone talking about it. That itself clearly puts them, 10 steps behind. Respect their privacy. Ensure that the same confidentiality is maintained as of, how it would be with anyone else when someone comes and confides in you and says something to you about them. Some things not to say, and this is very important. How do you know for sure? I mean, if they're not sure, they wouldn't be telling you, first of all. You don't look like one. This is something that can be very offensive as well. So to avoid saying, you don't look like one is something that will take you a long way. Maybe you haven't met the right man or woman. That is something that a lot of people from the community do here, but that is not the case. If people have not met people, they wouldn't know how their orientation actually is. They would have met a lot of people for all you know, but they've just not felt aligned towards that. Maybe it is only a phase. And that is personally something that I've heard myself from my own nuclear family as well. I've been told it was a phase for the longest period of my time, nearly a decade, but it never was a phase. You need to go to counseling. This is again something that is very offensive, or even saying, I'm so sorry for you. It is something that is very offensive, because you're making them feel like there is something wrong with them when there is absolutely nothing wrong with them. By just saying, it's okay, I'm here to listen to you, I accept you for who you are, I acknowledge your presence, and I acknowledge that you've put your faith in me. These are the things that can really help. And these are some things that will actually make a lot of people from the community feel more accepted. And by doing this, you're not only setting an example for, other heterosexual or binary people as well, but is also making you move one step forward towards becoming a super ally. So be an ally and support even when it's very, very tough to be an ally. Now, pronouns, these are something that we would have all gone through. We would have seen on everyday life, he, she, we use it to everyone. So one way to address how you want to be respectful and not offend someone, if you don't know how someone likes to be referred to, very simple thing, ask them what their pronouns are. By just reaching out, they would have mentioned their name, use their name and say, hey, how can I refer to you as? What pronouns would you like me to use? Just by starting with that, you go an extra mile in acceptance or support towards the LGBTQ community, because you are willing to make that effort into knowing someone's identity and how they want to be referred to. And that shows that you are someone who you can, have someone trust you. So these are the basic he, she, his, hers. So these are the basic that every even heterosexual and binary person have. But some people who, maybe gender fluid, or someone who is even androgynous, but, bisexual, they may also want to be referred to as she, they. So when you don't know someone's, pronouns, and even after you asking, the safest option for you to refer to them as they or them, because you're not offending them. You are still giving or allowing that space, and you're not offending them in a way by referring to them with a pronoun that they are not comfortable with. So that's the simplest way to go about, being respectful of people's pronouns and how they would want to be addressed and identified. Okay, now coming towards the end of our session, this is just a short video that I would like everyone to watch, and I hope you take a lot from it. So please let me know if if you can hear it.
मम्मी नाराज तो होनी ही वाली। वो तो चाहती कि मैं डॉक्टर ही बनूं, इसलिए हॉलीडेज खत्म और बोर्डिंग स्कूल शुरू। एक दिन भी एक्स्ट्रा रुकने नहीं दिया। मम्मी भी ना। मम्मी ने अपनी लाइफ अपने आप ही बनाई। 18 साल की थी जब उनके फादर ने उन्हें घर से निकाल दिया। अकेले रहने का तो सोचने से भी डर लगता है। मैंने अपने पापा को कभी देखा नहीं, और मेरी असली माँ बहुत बीमार रहती थी। उनके बारे में सिर्फ एक ही दिन याद है जो मैं कभी भुला नहीं पाती। एक दिन कुछ लोग आए और उन्हें एम्बुलेंस में ले गए। फिर वो कभी वापस ही नहीं आई। फिर एक दिन मम्मी आई। बहुत प्यार से मुझे अपनी गोद में बिठाया और मुझे अपने घर ले गई। तबीयत खराब थी तो पूरी रात मेरे साथ बैठी रही। सुबह मम्मी ने एक सुंदर सी रेड फ्रॉक पहनाई, मेरे लिए ढेर सारे चिप्स बनाए। मम्मी के साथ 10 साल हो गए। अब तो मम्मी मम्मी कम और दोस्त ज्यादा बन गई। संडे हम दोनों का फेवरेट दिन है। बालों में तेल लगाने के बाद दोपहर में मेरा फेवरेट लंच कढ़ी चावल, और रात में डर लगता है, पर मम्मी होती है ना तो नहीं लगता। ये है मेरी मम्मी, है ना प्यारी। मम्मी ने लाइफ में इतने प्रॉब्लम्स देखे, कितना कुछ सहा है, फिर भी उन्होंने हमेशा मेरा ख्याल रखा है। सिविक्स बुक में तो लिखा है कि सबके लिए बेसिक राइट सेम होते हैं, फिर मम्मी को क्यों नहीं? इसलिए मैं डॉक्टर नहीं, लॉयर बनूंगी, मेरी मम्मी के लिए।
So I hope this was a very I know it was a very rushed, but I'm sure you also have a lot of questions. But please feel free to have your questions ready, and I'm more than happy to answer your questions. And I'll leave this webinar with this note that I really find very close to my heart and something that I very, very closely relate to.
Thank you, Ayaan.
Thank you so much.
It was a very interesting session you took, and your personal note, your personal experiences actually explain things in very explicit way. But unfortunately, I think we don't have time for question answers. We can take maybe one or two questions. If anybody has a question, can you please uh, unmute yourself and ask?
Yes, one question. When the child is in the womb of the mother, can this not be identified?
No,
Can
it
it be
cannot.
identified?
It cannot be identified because you won't know how a person feels or how they want to, express or identify themselves until they're even in the conscious thought. But as it is said, and even doctors have also said that even between the ages of 1 to 5, a child already knows how they want to identify. They will show the signs, preferably by, either rebelling of how they want to dress or what toys they want to play with. So these are some things that are seen even between the ages 1 to 5. But because a lot of people are not aware of it, they are unable to identify it until unless the child actually grows up and understands it themselves. But it is not possible to be able to identify it in the womb.
Thank you.
Any other question? We can take just one more question,
Yeah, I'll
please.
take one question. See, I know one of my friend's daughter. I thought she's supposed to be gay. I don't know have the proof. But recently she adopted 2 children. Okay. Like she wanted. So I just want to know this gay couple or maybe single. Do they feel that parental love maybe as a father, as a mother? How that?
That depends on how they orient themselves or how they express themselves. Sometimes female partners may feel more masculine, and so they may want to, assert a role of a father figure. But sometimes female, couples also sometimes feel even more feminine than masculine. So it solely depends on the individual. Sometimes they're both mothers who raise the child, and sometimes it can be a mother and father in that role. But it is more to do with just addressing to the child's needs and respecting that they have their own identity of how they want to, choose to express and be. So there is no role as such, but it solely depends on the individual and the couple themselves.
Thank you.
Hi, Abha, just to kind of add in, can I just add in something here? Because
Yeah,
this
sure.
All right, so yeah, so with regarding to this, I think if you talk about, having maternal or the paternal instincts, I think it's very individualistic. It's nothing to do with the sexual orientation. Like you do have straight people or cis women and cis men who really don't have those affections or anything or wanting to have a child, right? So it is quite similar. It is a very individualistic or individual choice of, or it's a feeling that you get, you want to go ahead and be a parent or not. So in India, I think the law really talks about the fact that not as a gay couple you can, or as a homosexual couple you can adopt, but as a single person you can definitely adopt.
One more very common question, Suresh and Ayaan, to both of you, that how do you address your partner? Sometimes I heard gay people talking to their partner, telling their partner as husband. Is there a wife and husband role? Is it all you always call husband, wife, wife? How do you call it?
Yeah, well, okay, so this is something because it is a lack of understanding. I think everybody, let's be honest here, the world's population, majoritarians are heterosexuals, so that's what has been really thrown out all through generations and generations. And when it's a marriage between man and a woman, so there is certain demarcations that are being called out. What is the role of a man, what is the role of a woman? Now in the LGBTQ plus spectrum and the relationships that they are in, we don't really form the heteronormative, process, like, who's a man, who's a woman. I think that's a very intrusive, very demeaning question as well. because it really kind of again puts the whole conversation around heterosexuality and the kind of relationship that heterosexuals have, right? So it is a little tad bit or tiny, teeny bit offensive to go ahead and ask who plays the role what, right? As two men, I think, I introduce my partner as my partner. If I believe that I want, he is going to be my husband or he is my husband, that's how I address it, because you do have heterosexual relationships where people don't marry and still they call themselves, husband, wife, or vice versa, or there are even live-in relationships which are legally recognized as well, right? So each relationship is completely unique, because you all have seen only relationships between man and a woman.
Not
It
that
does
I
feel
have
complicated.
seen lesbian women addressing their and very popular ones even on TV shows. Talking, I'm forgetting her name. She always calls her husband partner as an husband. So that's the question. Sorry that this thing was offensive.
No,
Ayaan, would
this
you
is a
like
learning
to
space.
share something? Would you like to add something to that?
No, I absolutely agree with Suresh, because I think, given that times are changing, I think it is a lot more, it's not, it's more to do with just asking someone about their partner, because it's more respectful, it's not intrusive, by just saying partner.
Yeah.
Because, it doesn't have to be a role as such of a husband or a
Sure.
wife, it's a partner. So
Fine.
that's all I would
Yeah.
like to say.
Thank you. So Leo, over to you, please.
Thank you so much, Ayaan, for that wonderful session. I think it will take some time for us for new allies to digest all that information. But it was really thought provoking and opened up a lot more avenues to better understand people from the wider spectrum. Thank you so much for your time
Thank
and
you so
knowledge.
much. Thank you everyone for being here. And I'm open to more questions. So please feel free to reach out to me after the webinar if you'd like. Thank you.
Thank you. Going forward, I request Rotarian Pushpalata to introduce our next speakers of the fireside chat, uh, Suresh and Rotarian Abha.
Good evening to all. Profile of Mr. Suresh Ramdas. He is the motivational speaker, facilitator, and DEI spokesperson for inclusion with more than 17 years of experience in the corporate sector. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, Rotarian Pushpalata, you can go ahead. You're not.
More than 17 years of experience in the corporate sector and more than 5 years of experience in the DEI space. He was one of the 3 people across the world to have been selected for Global Fellow Program by Out and Equal, where he got an opportunity to learn and interact with various organizations of the corporate world and NGOs. He won the title of Mr. Gay India in 2019 and was in the top 10 at the Mr. Gay World 2019 in Cape Town. With the passion of giving back to the community, he is dedicating more time for trans inclusion in the corporate space and mental health issues of LGBTQS community. So this is a short introduction of Mr. Suresh Ramdas. Going to Abha Saxena's profile. Abha Saxena is an IT veteran and she has more than 20 years of experience to her credit. Took CSR initiatives. She is in the advisory board of various NGOs. She is a dedicated Rotarian for the last 25 years. She was part of various district committees, and for the year 2021-22, she led the district child development committee. For the last 13 years, she is working on the DEI domain and founder of Social Equity Advisory Services. It's a short introduction of Abha Saxena.
Yeah,
So
thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Pushpalata. So it's me again. Yeah, so this time I'm here to ask more questions to Suresh, and I know that Suresh is very eager to share his experiences. So I think Pushpalata missed something telling about Suresh. Uh, First of all, actually, Suresh, I would like to thank you for coming and being part of this webinar. I know you are very busy being the organizer of Nama Pride, which is happening tomorrow. But thank you for joining us. So one particular point which Pushpalata missed talking about you is Suresh is also a film actor. He has he has recently acted in a docu-series which is called Rainbow Rishta, which is on Prime Video. It's a unscripted docu-series of 6 part where various people from the community have talked about their own lives, and I've watched it, and I'll say that I learned quite a lot, and it's a very well made docu-series. I will request each one of you who want to know more. And in that particular series, the participants have actually talked about their personal experiences. So it's very touching. At times, I got teared up, and I said, this should not happen. I think when we see and hear those stories, then we realize that we had been cruel in many ways. And as I said, that because we didn't know about it, and we have, in our ignorance, we have been doing it. So let's start the conversation with Suresh and let him let him talk something about himself. So the first question is that only, Suresh, that tell us about your journey, your efforts, your trials and tribulations of making the workplaces and the society more inclusive.
Well, I just want to know how much time do I have, Abha, just to kind of keep in check.
Half an hour?
Okay, all right, fair enough. So yeah, first and foremost, thank you so much everybody for joining in on a Saturday evening. This is really exciting, and like people said, I'm super happy to be a part of this. My pronouns are he, him, his. I like to be addressed as that way, and a little bit about me, I think, not this confident person that you see right now. While I was a child and I was growing up, it was very, very confusing, very tough with all the bullying and the harassments that were happening, to me while I was growing up because of, the way I used to speak, the way I used to go ahead and talk to people. I was quite effeminate during those days, my younger days. Not that I'm still not, I still have that. Everybody has that, but it was very predominant that time, right? So I was bullied a lot, and to top it off on my skin color as well, that was being called out. So there were tough days, to process through. But I kind of went ahead and decided that this is what I think my life is going to be. So I think I better put my head down and keep walking forward, right? Knowing the fact that somewhere deep down, I knew that things are going to change, things are going to get better for whatever it could be, but I just need to have that courage and that faith in myself to go on. When I was young, I already knew, like how Ayaan mentioned that, people from the community know somehow, right? It's the same as how y'all, as straight people get to know. You'll have butterflies in your stomach when you see somebody, very attractive, probably of the opposite gender or opposite sex, so that was the kind of same emotions and same feelings that I had, not to the girls in my class, but to certain boys in my class, right? So the emotions and everything was pretty much there. It's just that I really didn't know what to say, what to call, because at that time, there was no internet, there was no access to information like this. And it was predominantly, interactions or movies or articles written just about, between man and a woman. So I really didn't know, confused, totally didn't know until I got back to college, where I really got to know that, hey, there's something called homosexuality, there's something called men having sex with men, and it's called gay and all of that. And that was my journey all through of getting to know myself, realizing who I am, and that I'm not similar or not normal, like how people would say that at that point in time. Uh, but I again thought that this is who I am, and this is the challenge that I'm going to face head on, because not many people like me out there. And so I kind of kept that very much in the closet, in the sense, like what Ayaan mentioned, I was very much in the closet, right? Not talking about myself to anybody, my emotions, my feelings about what I'm really going through. But on the outside, I was always trying to fake it and tell people, yeah, I do have a girlfriend, or I do have crushes on this girl, and maybe she's not interested in me, that's why I'm not having a girlfriend. So I always used to try and throw the spotlight not from me. Like I used to just go ahead and push it onto somebody else. So I had to make up stories, tell people that that's not the case and stuff like that. And that continued for the longest time, right? So, and then I got a job, and I was very, very even more scared not to go ahead and talk about it in workplace, because I knew that time, but that time, as the internet was there, able to read articles and get to see a lot of this, there was a lot of name calling, there was a lot of harassments and discrimination that were happening, not just as gay people, but also as trans people, right? So you would see trans people on the streets that time. They were begging and doing sex work, and the way people used to go ahead and just look at them as well was quite humiliating and dehumanifying them, right? So they were not treating them as humans. And then I also got to understand and learn about it a little bit more, and that's where I went further into the closet of saying I'm not going to talk anything about myself, because it's going to affect a lot. But then, yes, as typical Indian parents, they want their child to be married, right? That's the dream and hope for every parent for their child. So they decided that, okay, I also have to get married and stuff like that. But I knew by that time I was 2000% gay. I was 2000% into men. Women can be my best friends, and that's pretty much it. While I was sexually, physically attracted, to men. And I knew I just couldn't go ahead and get married, right? It is not right, because of the fact that being a man, being the privileged person in this patriarchal society, right? I did have the opportunity to go ahead and say no and probably save the girl's life, because of the simple fact that she could probably have somebody else love her for who she is, right? Or accept her for who she is. So I had made that decision, and I came out to my parents, and then it was not an easy conversation. I would say another 60 minutes can go on into that conversation altogether. But I'll keep it short, saying that, I had to put my foot down. I was assertive in the way I had my conversations. It was something that I was very determined as well to tell my parents that this is not the right thing for me to do. And that's what you brought me up with. Now, 3 months up and down, stuff like that happened, but I felt a sigh of relief, right? For the simple fact that now I don't have to hide. I can be myself. And that's wherein I really decided, you know what, I think it's one life that I have. I need to live it honestly. I need to live it authentically. And I did decide to come out to the whole world, including people at the office and all of that. And I knew it's going to go through a little bit of rough patches, but I said, you know what, the child in me, which had that faith and that's, instinct that, you are going to get better. There is something more destined for you. And that's really what triggered and, took me forward to say that I'm going to do this. And I've come out. I have lived my life authentically in all possible ways, not for once being sorry about it. That's why I said the person that you see as me confident here was never this at all. I used to shy away from anything that, even brought me to spotlight. Now I'm really enjoying it, taking the conversation forward of the community people and, sharing my story in that form and talking about it in workplaces as well, because it is very important. Like what Ayaan said, There is a lot of discrimination, there is a lot of bullying, there is a lot of these coffee conversations that keep happening about other people, right? I think we say that other people are the biggest gossipers. I think, no, we are a lot more in our own ways that we love to gossip. And the conversations that we have about other people, which we feel we are entitled to go ahead and comment or share and, discuss about their lives, like as though, they have given us the permission, um, which is something that we need to, kind of, put a stop to. And then that's the work that I'm doing in the organization, the office that I'm in, the organization that I work for. And outside that as well, to really take these conversations to these places to tell, hey, can we be inclusive? Can we be understanding? Right?
Yeah, I think, Suresh, just what you said, bringing the true self, being authentic to what you are, not trying to fit in. That's a lot of mental stress, mental trauma for everybody. And once we remove this situation, then it becomes so much more easier for everybody to be, whether it is the person who is in the closet and even the persons around that person, because you don't know what to expect, what to react. So going ahead, I would like to ask you that though Ayaan has touched on allyship, I would want to ask you that as a Rotarian, we say that we are a diverse and equitable and inclusive organization. How do we how do I become, as a Rotarian, become the ally to the LGBTQI community, so that the people who are already there within our clubs and have not come out feel safe to come out, and we also give a helping hand to anybody we meet outside the clubs. So how do we become an ally as a Rotarian?
I would say first most important thing for an ally to really be there is to learn more, right? I always tell this in my conversations which I have. Like when technology evolves, we are so caught up with it and say, hey, we need to really evolve and get to know everything that is happening in technology wise, because we need to earn, we need to go forward. Otherwise, we are going to be extinct. Right? But then when it comes to humans, I think we have evolved as human beings. We have become a lot more aware. There's a lot more information about everybody and anybody out there, right? So how can we learn? But we're still holding on to generations and generations of information that have been passed around by never questioning them. We've never questioned back, asking, hey, why does it really make sense to what you're saying? And can we adapt to the situation currently? India being the most diverse country in the world, we were, we told people how to have great sex through Kama Sutra. But right now, when we talk about sex or talk about anything related to that, we shy away. Right? So even from a fact of understanding, if you talk about LGBT community people, yes, the language is very English, but we've had, trans women, we have had trans men, we have had lesbians, we have gay people, we have questioning people, all in our, past as well. If you don't believe in, I can, each one of you all, I mean, anybody interested can take a ticket to Khajuraho temple and go through that. The temple is built to go ahead and talk about everything. But why do we shy away? Right? So for me, it's all about getting to know somewhere down the line. Yes, the Britishers came, put in the law, and they made us feel bad about who we really are. Right? Even to an extent of the fact that, go back to history, and they were very much there to eradicate the transgender community completely, because they felt that it's only supposed to be a man and a woman. But
so what do we do now as a Rotarian? What we can do?
Learn, get to know more. I would say read. I know if that is something that fascinates a lot of people, there are so many books out there. written by Indian writers. There is a lot of movies that are being made right now, OTT, and whether you like it or not. Yeah, thanks, Abba, for giving me that opportunity. I'm going to promote my show there, which is called Rainbow Rishta, which gives you an understanding of what people from the community are. If not, watch a lot of videos on YouTube. Take that extra effort to know another person, because 13% of the world's population belongs to the LGBT community, or people are from the LGBT community. So you can do the math, 1.35 billion. We are not a minuscule minority as said by the Supreme Court of India. We are very much there. We are very much there even in your friend circle, in your family, as your colleagues.
Yep.
Learn about this community. Get to understand. And also, while you're learning and getting to know the community, please be empathetic with yourself as well. We empathize with others a lot, right? But be empathetic towards yourself, saying that, you know what, I need to learn, I need to understand, I need to question things that I have probably learned, which are probably not valid here. Biases are always there. How can we get over that? Acknowledge. The first thing is acknowledge that you don't know a lot, and you're taking the effort to learn, which means that you're going to be open to learning, which means that you're going to be open to interacting with people, having a conversation, making mistakes, learning from that, unlearning from what was being taught previously, and move forward. It's not a one-day journey. You all are not going to change overnight into a new leaf saying that, yes, I'm going to be a fabulous ally. No, it's a journey.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. So Rotary is considered an influencer in the society, the kind of work we do, and we have a reputation of influencing the way we work. So what can Rotary do as an organization to make our society more inclusive? Means as an organization, as an individual level, you said that we need to learn and all that, and I think we today being part of this session, that journey has started for a lot of us. But as a club, as an organization itself, what do we do?
See, a couple of recommendations is that as an organization, as a Rotary club, can you start supporting in any and every form possible to this underrepresented community, right? There are a lot of NGOs that are there in your respective states and cities, right? Support them. Step forward. If you want to educate somebody, this is, 22 people out here, or let's say 20 people of y'all who are in this, call. Y'all are such a big chunk of wealth of knowledge. Can you share that with them? Especially the ones that really need it. You have the trans people out there on the streets. Can you, I would invite all of y'all tomorrow when you step out of your homes, if you see a trans person, don't look the other way. Look at them. Stop your vehicle. Pull that window down. Have a conversation. Smile at them and say, hi, how are you? Yes, they're going to be there asking you for money first, because that's the only livelihood that they have.
Yeah.
They need to feed their stomach and the people there looking for it. Can you just talk to them nicely? Some of them may not even ask you money also at the end of the day, because you treated them and gave them the respect of being a human being. Do that. That's your first step to allyship. And as a community, start supporting, hire people into roles that you can give. If they have the skill set, or if they don't have the skill set, they have the will, then provide them with the skill. Because everybody wants to get off that street. Nobody wants to be on the streets putting their hand out and begging for money. Everybody wants to live. Everybody wants a livelihood. How can we help them? There are a lot of NGOs which are trying to provide education and support, or to the trans people, be it in the form of corporate ready as well. So you all speaking great English, go ahead and communicate that. Teach them English. Teach them how to go ahead and have conversations. Invite them over to your events so that people can familiarize. They can also get familiar.
Yeah.
It's not only the trans people getting to know y'all, but it's the other way around as well. And when you hear their stories, I'm for sure each and every one of y'all, there is going to be that chord in your heart which is going to be pulled so hard that you are going to wanting to do this support for that community. Because that's a struggle that they go through, and we are there, and you all are there to go ahead and help and support. So please do that. Yeah.
So can you just also tell us about Nama Pride March, which you are going to have tomorrow?
Perfect.
And
Yes.
can we as a regular people join that? And how do we join that?
Oh yeah, definitely. There is nothing like you have to fill in the form or anything. Just come to Contiva Stadium Gate 1 and you will see fabulous people dressed in fabulous colors with the pride flag that you see behind me being flown around, and that's going to go all the way till Town Hall, or the other venue next to it, which is the Rangamandira. So you can Samsa. I'm forgetting the name properly. But it's a Rangamandira next to Town Hall. So it's going to go on from there all the way there, till there, and there are going to be events as well. This is a space where you can just come and be yourself, just walk with us, show that solidarity that we are there. And during that time, interact with people, maybe have conversations and, learn something about them. And you will get to know in some form or the other the pamphlets that will be provided, and which ends in the culmination of a lot of events, right? There's going to be a lot of performances and all of that. So yeah, join in, be colorfully dressed, or you can just come as who you are, who you want to be. And if you want to learn, just come there and, join the celebrations.
Thank you so much. Thanks for inviting us to Nama Pride. I have been wanting to do that. I'm a bit shy and a little reluctant. Maybe tomorrow I'll pull up my socks and say, okay, at least I'll show my face there. If I'm there, I'll certainly call both of you.
Sure.
Yeah. So now we open the session for questions. If anybody has any questions, please unmute yourself. Tina, would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question?
I'm actually on the highway, so I've typed my question and put it in the chat box.
Okay.
So Tina, thanks for that question. I think was regarding to the ruling against same-sex marriage. See, the fight is going to go on. It's not going to be an easy battle. So we are going to now rally the ministers or the lawmakers to go ahead and really create, because that's how the direction has been really given by the Supreme Court, that they are not going to recognize it's a law that's really going to come in. But latest news is that some people have again reached out to the Supreme Court, and they're planning to have an open hearing conversation on the same-sex marriage. So just have to wait for updates further. But otherwise, I think the only way for us to take this conversation forward is to get the lawmakers in this country, or to really go towards creating that law. Or it could be also the fact that states can really take this conversation forward and create a law, and then move up that conversation. So I think Tamil Nadu has already gone ahead. I think the Madras High Court judge has recently told to look at if this can be into a different sort of conversation, at least give protection, if not the legal rights, but at least people who are in same-sex relationships, can they be safeguarded, right? So there is this conversations happening. It's a long battle. If you look at it, if people had asked me that, hey, Section 377 going to go away in your lifetime, I was probably thinking it's never going to go. I really didn't have that many hopes. Maybe the next generation will probably have that, but it's happened now. So I'm very optimistic and, hoping that it's going to go our way. So the conversation that's happening in the Madras High Court is the deed of familial association. So that's where the conversation is to recognize same-sex partners and go forward. So yeah, so I think there is a lot of conversations and push happening in different forms.
I have a related question that suppose there is a gay couple or a lesbian couple and they have gotten married in a country where such marriages are legal, and they come back to India. What is their status in India? And
Nothing.
nothing. So how do you present, suppose it's you, and how do you present your partner? You are legally married, but in Indian organizations or something, how do you, what works?
See, in organizations, again, the Indian law really does not recognize. So they're going to be taking you as two different individuals, not as a couple. So anything, all the rights stop at the, Indian consulate and in the Indian borders. But what companies can really do is, again, they can provide the, policies and support, saying that if you are a married couple, if you're married in another country, you come here, we can provide you with the same legal obligations and all of that as well. Be it even if it has to go out of their own pockets, right? The organization's pockets. So if they're willing to take that extra effort to take care of their employee, some of them are really doing that as well. So there is no mandate or there is no stopping in any form for the organizations, right, to support their employees in any and every form.
Fine. Any other question? If there are no question, I think Leo, maybe you can hand it over to Madhu.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to share a couple of videos for you all to watch. I'm just putting it on the chat. Please do watch that. It's something really fun, like what Ayaan has put in out there. That is also definitely that this is a video which is visual and something fun for you all to watch, learn, and get to know more about the community. For me, like there was a question which was people keep asking as well, is it a choice? Right? So I always put this question back to people. If being queer is a choice, then when did you decide to become straight?
I have one question.
Yes.
Suresh said you have a organization of yours.
Yeah.
How do you help your fellow people?
Sorry, I work in an organization. I wish I could head one, hopefully, in the future, but I still I work in an organization. So what was your question? Sorry.
You are working in an organization, is it?
Right, yes.
Of your group.
No. I volunteer a lot. I'm in the board like ABBA in quite a few NGOs and all of that. So yeah, but I work in an IT company.
Acha. Very good, very good. Because earlier I have only heard from Padam Shali.
Oh, okay. Yes, she's a fabulous activist. Yes, I know her. Yeah.
With her, few more ladies had come with her group.
Yes, she's also got she's adopted a son as well, right?
No, not her son or anything. For her group had come.
Got it. Okay. All right.
We offered actually to help them out with some skill training. They didn't show much interest. So how do we, maybe they must have taken us to be a stranger. That also possible. Suddenly our offering. So in what way you can support our Rotary to interact with the people, with the...
I can connect you with organizations or NGOs which really are doing skill development programs as well.
Yeah. So Rotarian Sumati Rao, it's better to go through the organization which is connected to them, because as you said that they might not trust us, they will trust them, and they would also know how to communicate with them. So it's always good to we can discuss this later on. Suresh will share some names, Ayaan will share some names. I am also connected with a couple of them. I'll share all this information on the
happy to help
WhatsApp.
Anytime. Yes, sir.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was wondering when he was talking about reach them out and do work.
See, I mean, like I said, there are so many trans women. Maybe some don't, because again, let's be honest, getting a skill at a certain age, let's say at the age of 30 or 40, predominantly they are in that age, right? So asking them to sit down, learn something.
We met 20 to 30 we met.
Right, but even 20 to 30, you're already out of your house by the age of 10, 12. You're kicked out of the house, right? Predominantly, or you run away.
I've heard.
And then you are just looking for work which will give you money, not by sitting down and learning to write or read, because that needs a lot of effort. Are people wanting to put that effort? That's another question. But there are many. You'll be surprised, Sumati, when you see somebody on the streets next time, they would ask them, what is your education? Some of them are MPhil, BA graduates, and we don't have a job.
Pinky, I have met her. Radio thing. Yeah? And she's very nice lady.
Yeah.
I think one more thing I would like to add to what Suresh and Ayaan have been saying, that we first need to educate ourselves. We need to understand. We need to understand where the shoe hurts before we offer them anything. Because if we are not going to speak the language which is friendly to them, then nobody wants to take any kind of any ihsan from anyone else.
Yeah, naturally.
So we need to partner. So we can discuss this later on in our groups. Leo, I think we are quite late. We are 10 minutes, 12 minutes over the time. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you so much, Suresh, for that wonderful session. You got to learn a lot. And hopefully we start implementing some of the thought process. I think that's where we start, and make mistakes and grow. Thank you so much for your time and for your knowledge and for your experience. It was a pleasure listening to you. And thank you, Rotarian Abba, for hosting this fireside chat as well. I invite Rotarian Madhusudan to provide final remarks and the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Leo. Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
Yes,
please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Leo, and thank you, Ayaan and Suresh. It's been a wonderful session. In fact, when we talk about DEI, just to recollect what our district governor said initially, he said that DEI is in our DNA as a Rotary. It is already there in our. It's a part of our DNA. But as far as Rotary is concerned, DEI as a subject is something which has been new, which has been there for a couple of years. But as he rightly said, it is already there and it is imbibed in most of the Rotarians and then in the Rotary clubs. When we talk about DEI, it has several facets. It is more to do with diversity, equity, inclusion, and various other things. And the one topic which we just talked about is one facet of the entire DEI, which we are looking at Rotary as an organization. Now, the subject was also very apt in the sense that the first topic saying that the ABC of LGBTQIA, and the second was now what would be the role of Rotary in this whole process. So I think at least for most of us today, thanks to Ayaan, we learned most of things such as the difference between sex and gender, the in the closet and then coming out, dead name and the chosen name, and the most important is the concept of ally, where we have the new ally, the everyday ally, and then the super ally. And it was really an eye-opener for us, and it's more of an education to most of us on this call, because none of us, honestly, I think there has to be a confession, at least from my side, saying that honestly, I had not Googled or done any research either in the Google or in the YouTube to understand about LGBTQ, and it's definitely first-hand information, and then the first session directly with the people concerned. Now, as Suresh was saying, ignorance is the main thing. So at least today we have made a first step, at least between 20 to 30 people who are here on the call, and even the other clubs which are there, which have adopted DEI as part of their bylaws. I think we have taken the first step of understanding what DEI stands for, and then most importantly today, what LGBTQI also stands for. So we try to not be ignorant in future and try to learn as much as possible. And we have also discussed how the Rotary can support. Yes, it would take some time for us to align amongst ourselves, have some kind of an understanding between the community and then the Rotary, because the trust is the major factor, and then that would happen over a period of time. And I can only say that we've actually taken a first step. And most important thing is there are several, as the speakers was pointing out, there are several legislations which have also been brought in, but legislations alone cannot bring about any change in society, because what happens is that these are all institutions. Basically, these kind of communities or the practices which we have are all institutions which are internalized in each one of us as individuals, and it takes some time for us to take out that internalized process and then look at the community in a different way. And time will definitely give an answer to all these things. And then I'm sure that the 13% of this community which is being left over would also be part of the mainstream at some point of time. And as Rotary, as always, we are committed for ensuring that there is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And this applies even to the LGBTQIA. And it's only a question of time. And let's give it its own time. And then at the same time, let's also make our effort to see how fast we can do it. This is just as I said, this is just a beginning for all of us. And the road is far ahead, and then we will definitely reach the goal at some point of time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rotary Madhusudan, for that summing up and the vote of thanks. Can we all switch on our video so that we can take a group picture?
Yep.
Just a moment. Just for a few seconds, I'll just take a group picture. Okay. Okay. Just a moment. Okay. One more.
Suresh has quit.
Everyone smile. Okay. Super.
Thank you. So I'll be sharing the videos and the LinkedIn profiles of Ayaan and Suresh, so that in case you want to get in touch with them separately, please go ahead and do that. If you want to engage these people in your workplace, please go ahead and do that. So in our lives, we have to just learn till we feel a little comfortable doing things. But that doesn't mean that we should stop talking and stop doing things. We make mistake and learn. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Sorry that it got a little extended, but thank you so much. Thanks, Leo.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Good night. Good night.